Good afternoon and welcome to Newsbeat on Metro TV. This bulletin is live on DSTV channel 277 and also live on Facebook Metro TV Ghana and on Twitter Metro TV GH. My name is Harriet Adi. Let's take a look at the headlines. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Dr. Peter Otokuno, says the decision by General Secretary of the NDC, Asiedu, to stand for the chairmanship position of the party would not create division, but rather help the party win the 2024 elections. Asokore Mampon District Court remands into police custody 3 students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who are standing trial for their involvement in the recent mayhem on campus. And in news from elsewhere, health authorities in Uganda confirm the death of 3 more Ebola patients in the country, days after declaring an outbreak of the strain of the disease in a central district. There's more coming up in the next 60 minutes. First story. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Dr. Peter Otokuno, says the decision by General Secretary of the NDC, Asiedu, to stand for the chairmanship position of the party would not create division, since he is very experienced and well placed to lead the party into the 2024 elections. He spoke to Moro Awudu a while ago on Inside Pages.
We are a democratic party. And nobody is beyond elections. Never have we gone for any elections that anybody has gone unopposed. Okay. Even the greatest president, former president of our party, who is going to be the next president, people tend to contest him. In the last primaries, we had 6 people contesting him. So contest is very good. When you put up contest, it reaffirms the support and the belief of the people in the leadership of those who would win. So I don't foresee anywhere, by any stretch of imagination, that would go for contest and it will divide the party. No, not at all. Look, since I started this party, we have gone to even more turbulent contests. And like every contest, it's turbulent. Even branch elections. Look at what is happening in some places. Every contest is very turbulent. But the most important thing is that we are one family. When the people decide on you, they have decided on you. When they decide that you are the best person to do the job, you take charge and consolidate the party and bring everybody together. I do not see any division. I do not foresee any division that would be occasioned by General saying that he's going for chairman. And I think that General would be an excellent chairman. He would be a super excellent national chairman. But he has not declared. He has not told anybody if he's going for national chairman.
But Doc,
should General become our national chairman? I have no doubt at all. He has not declared that he's going for chairmanship. You are not aware, I'm not aware. Yeah. But I'm saying that he will be he can be a national chairman in the next 8 years, in the next 12 years. You may never know. But I'm saying that he would be a super national chairman if he's contesting for national chairman. It may be in future. You understand? Honorable Samuel Fosuampofo, I've had very good working with. He's an excellent chairman. You understand? So if the two of them decide that they want to contest for the position, it doesn't mean that any of them is bad.
Now, meanwhile, Dr. Peter Otokuno says he is well placed to win the party's general secretary position due to his experience and loyalty to the party's ideology.
There is not only about the contest. It is about 2024. You see, the party must win power in 2024. And not for the sake of the NDC, but for the sake of the Ghanaian people. And I have said repeatedly that if it is power that the NDC is looking for, then the NDC will go for competence, will go for strong leadership, will go for courageous leadership, will go for strategic leadership, a leadership that is accessible, a leadership that can consolidate the party, a leadership that can unite the party. And if these are the things that will win us power in 2024, the NDC cannot go beyond Dr. Peter Otokuno. And the reasons are straightforward. Look,
but how have you proven
in the office of the General Secretary, as it stands now, there is nobody who has experienced the office in these contemporary times and understand the jobs and the nuances of the job than I do. I have worked as a Deputy General Secretary in the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, what I have ostensibly done is to be in charge of operations, stay on the ground, perfect my skills in elections, which I've been doing for the past 12 years, perfect my understanding of the running of the party. And all the strategic things that I've spoken about earlier are things that have been driven by a bigger vision of growing the party. You can't win elections when you don't have a strong party. You see, you don't have a construction job for a mason and you go and pick an electrician to come and construct a building. When you learn a job as a mason and you graduate, you work as a mason. You don't go and work as a radio presenter. You understand? I have learned the job as a general secretary. In fact, all those who are contesting, none of them has learned the job as I have done. So there's nobody prepared for the job better than me right now as it stands now.
That's fine.
Unless the general mosquito himself.
Away from that, now some road contractors who were working on roads within the German South Municipality have had their contracts terminated. The MCE for the area, Andrews Bediako, said delays in meeting the target is what necessitated the action.
Some road contractors who were working on roads within the German South Municipality have been hit with contract termination. The municipal chief executive of the area, Andrews Bediako, said they had to take the contract back and award it to new contractors due to failure to complete the work as agreed on.
All the contractors are not currently on site, so over the week I went to Accra to see the roads minister, who has agreed that we should terminate the contract because looking at the rate at which they are working, they don't have the capacity. Especially the one working on the Drobo Kwame Road, Prempe, Amo Prempe and Co. Unfortunately, the contractor is dead, and what I am hearing is that the contractor, the children and the wife have some issues that they are unable to settle. Due to that, they are unable to come on site to work. So currently, you go there and they are not there. I've chased them to Sunyani, I've chased them to Fida Rose, I've chased them to Accra and wherever. So finally, I had to go to the minister in Accra last week, who has agreed that we should terminate the contract and look for a competent contractor who can manage the road for us.
Meanwhile, the former member of parliament for the area, Mama Afol, whose tenure the contract were awarded, said he would add his strength to get the roads fixed. The Drobo Kwesi Bokrom Road, Drobo Japekrom, and other roads within the area are currently in a deplorable state and should be fixed as soon as possible.
The ministers of community are no other contractor or resourceful or awarding no other economy.
There is a growing pressure in the area for roads to be fixed for motorists due to the state of the current road network.
The Asokari Mampon District Court on September 23, 2022, remanded into police custody 3 students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who are standing trial for their involvement in the recent mayhem on campus. The 3, Emmanuel Apia Amwa, Eugene Namuisi, and Kwabna Kwatin Amaniampom, were arrested on bench warrant following police investigation into the campus violence in August 2022. They will reappear before the court on October 10, 2022. We would like to assure the public that all the perpetrators of in the disturbances will be brought to justice. The head of legal and prosecution of the Ashanti Regional Police Command, ACP Kofi Blagoji, and the counsel for the 5 accused persons had these to say.
They are doing their work and we are also doing ours, so I wouldn't blame them. We tried hard, but the bail was not granted. He is not guilty. When the time comes, we'll put up a defense to show that. We have our doubts, but once it's a court order, they have to oblige.
Yeah, they have been remanded to appear on the 4th, so it shall be in court on the 4th of October. No, the court is saying we should make adequate provision for them to get the Alzheimer's written, so we shall do that.
All right.
Two members of the Swami Municipal Assembly have accused the Assembly of breaching the Local Government Act by running the Assembly without an approved 2022 budget. They have, however, served notice to the Assembly that they will be dragging it to court for redress.
The two Assembly members, Benjamin Atta Obengbuama of Ajayi Pipra electoral area and Yahaya Idrisu of Agogoso electoral area, reiterated concerns about management of the Assembly running its affairs without an approved financial budget statement. According to them, corrections done to the budget had not been approved to make it legal, thereby contradicting the norms and values of the District Assembly concept.
When the agenda that had been laid before the table to review the 2022 composite budget was called, we made the then presiding member presiding over the meeting, or the member presiding, aware that we cannot sit down and then append our signatures upon such an illegality that was being perpetrated against the good people of Swami Municipal Assembly and then the Assembly, of which failure to do so might force us to drag the management of the Assembly to the court of law for redress of our grievances.
Meanwhile, the Municipal Chief Executive Officer of the Swami Municipal Assembly, Maxwell Ofosu-Boakye, has debunked claims by the two Assembly members, insisting that the management of the Assembly did nothing wrong.
This allegation from them, I would say, is unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that the Assembly is the highest decision-making body. It is not the MC that takes decisions for the Assembly. Yes, I work with the decisions of the Assembly.
The two Assembly members have called on the local government minister, the Attorney General, Finance Minister, as well as the Ashanti Regional Minister to advise the management of the Assembly to strictly act in accordance with the Local Government Act 936/2016 for the purposes of clarity and accountability to the people of Swami Municipality.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command have arrested some 21 persons suspected to be illegal immigrants housed in a 5-bedroom enclosed house at Akokwamon in the Ejiso municipality of the Ashanti region. The arrest followed a tip-off by some community members in the area who noticed the abnormal behavior of the foreign nationals in the area.
According to the residents of Akokwamon in the Ejiso municipality of the Ashanti region, the suspected illegal immigrants have been in the area for over 3 months now, housed in a self-contained 5-bedroom house. Their inferior behavior made the residents suspicious. They then hinted the assemblyman for the area, Daniel Ousu, who then informed his unit committee members, and they mobilized and stormed the house, where some 21 of the suspected illegal immigrants were detained by the assembly member and his team.
Almost school no matiwa, by a building in whose school piano matinoha. A month for no more than Mokeke. Well, Crancy, and the catch chichis, Cameroon for Nibuha, but near who feel potia no mere day, and then Yamiadum committee for no yen Huguma, Hanakoya site in Tino. One way you'll be few right at Oklahoma money. I think I will be at school crowds and go about some mine. I have Fukumia will be anyone who I say, Omusha, and then Chess will be Chess across before her. So I'm running out to get and a pay credit. I need to try at the story be try and send you Bodom who say Omo. Tia Gusway, 200 more.
A resident of the area, Muhammad Ali Alpha, said for the past 3 weeks they noticed their movement in the community, and in the wake of serial killings and other fraud activities in some parts of the country, they decided to report them to the appropriate authorities.
My name say because me say francophones be Ghana be English, so my dream say be a woman be brofo no mako. It some say musia English and about catch say Annie. Say okay, no problem. And now, me cry, say, I was some because me cry, because sometimes, you know, we as a citizens, you know, sometimes you can't take law in your own hand just to do something. So, based on the Mian Katanka, me share a immigration office. Nanka na mahako ba mama nanka no ma be because say nya obi a oba a friend say Nkrumah genuinely Sometimes the secret, the secret so than the obia.
The operation by the police drew attention of several residents who gathered in front of the house to catch a glimpse. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is yet to make a comment on the arrest.
Security analyst Adib Sani says one of the leading causes of the recent sporadic killings in the country is a low prosecution rate on the part of the police. He said the situation where criminals escape prosecution due to the lack of evidence must cease if government hopes to discourage crime in the country. He advised government to invest in intelligence gathering and investigation processes.
Another major issue we've had to contend with in Ghana is the low prosecution rate. Even if it happens, the evidence is always not good enough to get the suspects found guilty. And so people feel that if they perpetrate murder, the probability that they will be prosecuted is low. They are encouraged to do it. In criminology, that is called rational choice theory. But if they know that we have improved investigation processes in Ghana, and the probability that he will be caught if he perpetrates the crime is there, it discourages the crime from happening in the first place, or the potential criminal from going ahead to commit that act. That is why we need to invest in crime and investigation in Ghana. We don't seem to have the necessary logistics. We don't even have the databases. For example, we are supposed to have a biometric database of all citizens available to the police under strict conditions. In other countries, there's DNA database. In the US, it is called the CODIS. Okay, so when someone perpetrates a crime, they are able to harvest the fingerprints. They are able to, harvest the DNA as well, run it in the database. Some is state, then at the national level, if they don't make any breakthrough at the state level, and it helps a great deal in breaking the cases that usually come before the police. So we really need to improve the investigation processes in Ghana so it serves as a disincentive to potential criminals.
Moving on, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Samuel Jinapor has told Metro News that his outfit remains committed to winning the war against illegal mining and its attendant devastating consequences. In an exclusive interview with Metro News, Samuel Jinapor also expressed hope that the Chinese Galamsey Queen will be convicted and sentenced for her role in illegal mining activities in Ghana.
I'm not even really overly obsessed about the past. Right. My focus is how we root out foreigners from our small-scale mining industry, right, which is why the arrest of the 154 foreigners a week ago for me is a major feat. And the arrest of Aisha Wan herself and the determination of the Attorney General to prosecute Aisha Wan and exact the maximum punishment on her, for me, it's also a great impetus to the work we are doing here. We need to always look at these matters from a broader point of view. There are foreigners involved in criminal conduct in various aspects of our national life, whether it's in the mining sector, or it's in the fishing sector, or it's in the petrochemical industry, or it's in the threat to the stability of our country through terrorism, or it's armed robbery, or what have you. The focus of a government worth its salt, such as the Akufo-Addo government, ought to be putting in place the requisite policy, legislative framework to root out foreigners from all the criminal enterprises and cartels in our country, mining inclusive, and which is why her arrest for me is good news. And even the news which is for me a better news is the fact that the Attorney General is absolutely determined to pin this woman down. That is absolutely good news. And I don't think that it should just be Aisha Wan. It should be all the foreigners involved in small-scale mining in our country, because it's a crime to be for a foreigner to be involved in small-scale mining in our country, whether legal or illegal. It is absolutely a criminal conduct for any foreigner to be involved in small-scale mining. And the law which has been amended is made the punishment for such conduct more deterrent, more punitive. We should pursue all those foreigners, just as we arrested 154 people just last week That is how I want to look at these matters, and I believe that is what will make the necessary impact.
We're taking a quick break this day. Welcome back from that commercial break. It's still Newsbeat with me, Harriet Adi. Let's do more stories. The Ebuakwa North Municipal Assembly in the Eastern Region has handed over 600 dual decks to the Municipal Education Directorates for onward distribution to public basic schools in the municipality. Alhaji Umar Bodinga, Ebuakwa North Municipal Chief Executive, who handed over the decks to Abna Jamara, the Municipal Director of Education, said this is to improve teaching and learning in the area.
According to the Municipal Chief Executive, the desk distribution forms part of effort to ensure quality education in the area. At a short handing over ceremony at the forecourt of the Assembly, Umar Bodinga reiterated the Assembly's commitment to providing quality education in the municipality, giving the assurance that it would not shirk its responsibilities. He indicated that the Assembly was getting more desks to address the furniture gap in schools, disclosing that a total of over 1,000 desks have already been distributed to schools.
Free SHS is working, but however they may need some trunks and some full mattress and the rest. That's this thing. Any female student who can get me the single digits, I'm ever ready to sponsor them with all this.
Receiving the items, Municipal Education Director Ms. Jamra thanked the Municipal Chief Executive for delivering the desks, saying the gesture would go a long way in ensuring that students have the best time and sitting posture to enjoy classes.
Now that they have this furniture, I think the learning will go on effectively. There will be effective teaching and learning. We have 600, and as with the batteries, we always ask for more. We are left with the JHS. The JHS, they don't have enough furniture. So this one will go a long way to help us have effective teaching and learning.
Moving on now, the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Makokreku Mante, says Ghana will show the world its tourism potential when it hosts the 2022 Global Citizen Festival. Speaking at the launch of the festival in Accra, he said Ghana will show how peaceful the country is and use it to attract tourists.
The 2022 Global Citizen Festival returns for its 10th edition on Saturday, September 24th, 2022. The festival has been around for over a decade. The festival grants the opportunity for world leaders and major corporations to take urgent action for girls, the planet, and also to end extreme poverty. Deputy Tourism Minister Makokreku Mante says Ghana is grateful to host the festival.
We are happy Global Citizen chose Ghana this year. We are happy because we are a country that would want the whole world to know that we are peaceful, we are a stable country, we are warm in hospitality, and then we have a rich culture to show to the world. We have a strong culture, especially with our music, our dance, fashion, from different parts of the country.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyeman, said the festival creates a meaningful commitment to end street poverty.
The Global Citizens Festival has been around, I believe, over a decade. And in that decade, there's been a call to action, calling on world leaders, both political and business, calling on corporate leaders, calling on you and I to make meaningful commitments to creating a better world for all of us and to end extreme poverty.
Away from that, now the Legon Municipal Assembly has embarked on an operation to demolish illegal structures and properties erected on pipelines. The exercise is geared towards adverting floods and also to pave way for the construction of the dual carriage road in the municipality.
The demolition exercise, led by armed security personnel, started Thursday afternoon as part of plans to commence the construction of a dual carriage road from Greater Junction to join Spinter Stretch. The plans is also to clear all structures erected on waterways, the cause of perennial flood in the Legon Municipality. Scores of residents were seen desperately lifting their items and church instruments to safety to prevent them from being destroyed. Those who failed to do so on time had their items destroyed. The chief executive of Legon Municipal Assembly, Mordecai Akwashi, said the assembly warned the residents of the impending exercise 6 months earlier.
There is this highway that is under construction, the Otokuno highway, which construction has come to a standstill because there's a culvert that must be where these structures are. Because these buildings are so there, the contractor hasn't been able to do the work he must do so that the road will continue. So as you can see, the drains have been done from this side to here and after the obstruction to the other end. So clearly, it was clear that we have to remove this obstruction for road construction to proceed.
He warned the assembly will clear off all structures erected on the waterways that are causing flood in the municipality to ensure free flow of water when it rains.
Every journey must come to an end, and the litigation processes have come to an end. And therefore, the assembly is stepping up to its responsibility to enforce development control so that this construction work can proceed without let or hindrance. And also, the residents around will now be able to enjoy their properties without fear of flooding every time it rains.
He said over 500 houses and illegal structures have been earmarked to be demolished to pave way for road construction and also to prevent flooding in the area.
The 300 structures are in the Sango River Basin alone. The Okojo has another 430 something structures also there that are occluding the waterway. So we will deal with that. But with this one, apart from the fact that it's in the waterway, it is obstructing the road construction. And therefore, it's important that we remove it so that the residents of this area get the benefit of this road.
The Alzheimer's Association of Ghana has called for dementia post-diagnosis care, treatment and support to be recognized as a human right. The co-founder and executive director of the association is urging government and private health facilities to implement a robust post-diagnosis care plan intervention for the disease in the country.
There are over 55 million people across the globe with Alzheimer's disease, with 100,000 of them found in Ghana. The co-founder and executive director of Alzheimer's Association of Ghana, Venice Day, said an important research intervention which, when overlooked, will render all efforts in the fight for all victims affected by the disease meaningless, is a post-diagnosis care.
Post-diagnosis care of dementia is a treatment and a support and a kind of multi-intervention that can improve the quality of life for those with dementia, including both pharmacological and non-pharmacological treatments, caregiving, access to health care, support for daily life activities, home adaptations, social inclusion, and respite.
The co-founder and president of Alzheimer's Ghana, Dr. Dennis Botte, said more sensitization is needed to avert instances where those who display symptoms of such illnesses are not taken to witches' camp.
We know parts of the country where a lot of people have had to run to seek refuge in what we call witches' camps because of some of these problems. We believe that as Alzheimer's Association, when we keep creating the awareness as the years go on, the coming generation will understand that there's a condition called dementia, of which Alzheimer's disease is the commonest. And then when they get well illuminated about that, we'll get to a point in the future where when some of us are now old and maybe unfortunately fall victim to some of these ailments, then we know that we have created enough awareness that we will be protected and not be beaten and killed for maybe saying things that we didn't mean.
The Presidential Advisor on HIV/AIDS, Ambassador Dr. Mukwabli Edujimfi, said government intends to firm up policies for an effective treatment of non-communicable disease, which includes dementia.
It's a new thing, and we have to make an effort to put structures in place. We need special training for caregivers. We need accommodation for those who are rejected by their families and stigmatized. And it's being done already up north, which camps are being abolished, and the old people are being better looked after. So there's a lot to be done. And it's an expensive project. And so we need to bring the presidency in addition to its other ministries like the Women and Gender Affairs. So I think it's all being looked into.
Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurological disorder that causes the brain to shrink and brain cells to die, resulting in continuous decline in thinking, behavioral and social skills that affect a person's ability to function independently. Currently, there's no cure for Alzheimer's disease.
Let's now do some business news. An economic and financial consultant, Kin Kaldoho, has said that Ghana's economy was headed for a ditch before the onset of the Russian-Ukraine war. He said this on the back of International Monetary Fund assessment of the economy, which revealed cracks in the economy.
On July 1, the government made a sudden U-turn on its initial decision not resorting to the IMF. Consequently, a team from the IMF arrived in Ghana to start negotiations with the government. The IMF, in its first meeting, noted that Ghana is facing a challenging economic situation propelled by Russia-Ukraine war and COVID-19. But the minority believes the IMF is managing the situation so they do not create fear and panic that will further exacerbate the issue. The IMF Director of Communications, Gary Rice, at a press conference maintained that, just like any other economy, the current Ghanaian economy has been pressed very hard by development in Ukraine as well as COVID-19 shocks.
Our mission chief for the IMF also recently visited Accra again to meet with key counterparts, and we're hopeful for another visit in the coming weeks. I don't have the date for you. I would say, just to repeat, the war in Ukraine has triggered a global economic shock that's hitting Ghana and, as I said, many other countries, and all at a time when, for many of these countries, their room for fiscal maneuver, if I could put it that way, is already extremely limited because they've used a lot of fiscal power already.
President Akufo-Addo at the recent UN 77th General Assembly meeting in New York reiterated the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on African economies.
It is not just the dismay that we feel at seeing such deliberate devastation of cities and towns in Europe in the year 2022. We're feeling this war directly in our lives in Africa. Every bullet, every bomb, every shell that hits a target in Ukraine hits our pockets and our economies in Africa.
But the question remains, what is the real cause of the economic woes of the country? An economist and financial consultant, Kin Kaldoho, believes Ghana's economy had fractures before the onset of the Russian-Ukraine war.
What the Russian-Ukraine war did was to just take an X-ray scan of our economy. So because the economy already had some fractures in it, in our bones as an economy, we have fractures. What the Russia-Ukraine war did was to just show and reflect that these are where the problems are. For me, where I stand and from the various documents and the various things that I've read from our standpoint, Well, to some extent, the Russian-Ukraine war contributed to some of the things, especially with regards to the food pricing and all of that. But then the point is that, do we have resilient systems that could have overcome the shocks? We do not have. The quality of leadership is...
The International Monetary Fund is set to deploy another mission to Ghana in the coming weeks.
Still on business news, a deputy leader of the majority side in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has criticized the reluctant attitude on the part of citizens who benefit from government loan schemes to pay back. According to him, the practice is a major factor that details government's desire to alleviate poverty and expand the economy.
Successive governments have provided soft loans for startups, small, medium, and even large-scale businesses. Maslock and other interventions are supposed to help alleviate the poverty rate in the country, as it is often regarded that beneficiaries can expand their businesses and have others employed. But year-on-year statistics have proven that many beneficiaries have defaulted payment of such loans. Appalled by the development, the Member of Parliament for Efutu, who is also the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has urged Ghanaians to refrain from such attitude.
Money is difficult to find. It is difficult to come by money. So if by the grace of God, we are able to raise resources for you to undertake a project, value it, make good use of it. If you abuse it, I will make sure you go to prison. It doesn't matter your party affiliation. So don't be bothered at all. I want all of us to work together and develop our community. Yakoto, taxi, work and pay. Brand new car, what friend it here rubber. No do be amuhum brent and benibi. Aman Suzuki, brand new. Aman BYD, brand new. In there, Odi mates. In there, all your be spare. Ne car no he was workshop. Isn't this a disgrace? No, madam, I'm a pamper. I won't pamper you again. The car now was more on a shed ye yanch and the war of Yosefo. Accident womb. Now, it's all car now a hotel. Now, it's a Indomie womb. Now, car no was saying. And in combat, Nechi, honorable and watching. And Obia Ocean is the yen, Nechi, jealousy cassa, and I in Poam and Cassichan. Emin Pomum was in Chaney, who were free there, one more yama, a man shall ye. Who were free there, one more with film in Jaco. Who were free there, what top one more.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, Chenebwa Kodiabuache, says more women pay back their loans than men. He was speaking on the sidelines of the GIZ launch of the remittance products for women in business.
Remittance flows and their usage are gaining more attention in the international discourses on sustainable development. This is especially so for many women who own micro businesses and require financial literacy to improve their business operations. In an interview with Metro Business, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loan Companies, Chenebwa Buache, says women are key players in the financial sector activity.
Reality is that when you come to the non-bank sector, women are the main people, and doing business with women have been very beneficial, because if you look at even those who take loan and pay, women do better. If you take those who do savings, women, when they're able to do more savings. And so we will need to encourage more of these initiatives to make sure that we rope in more, because the woman is able to influence the child more in some of these things. And if the home is peaceful, then the man can even be able to go and do more work and bring in more money.
The managing partner of Purple Almond Consult, Florence Hope Wudu, believes it's high time people inculcate a good saving habit.
Maybe we say it's remittance, but in other ways, you live in Ghana and you have other means of getting income. Not just remittance. You receive money from Momo, from a sister in the village, a sister in the city. The money that comes to you, the whole idea is that think about savings. So for every city you get, think about leaving a peswa somewhere for future. So that money that you have saved, it's your fallback in times of need to be able to use it to build your business or perhaps for a future need. That's what savings is about.
Sustainable financial inclusion activities will help enhance the efficiency of the financial sector to propel development in Ghana.
We're taking another break. We'll be back with sports, entertainment, and international news this day. It's now time for sports. Now, sports analyst Nana Jiman says the Black Stars 3-0 loss to Brazil is as a result of the lack of creativity in the team and poor selection on the part of the coach. He said the loss, however, offers the coach of the Black Stars, Otokuno, the opportunity to reset the team and make changes to his strategy ahead of the World Cup.
I'm more concerned about the performance, the cohesion, the strategy, the tactics, the formation. That's what more concerns me about the Ghana Black Stars in this particular performance than anything else.
Now, where do you think that Coach Otokuno went wrong?
We've had a lot of debate about these players. Some are saying they're opportunists, this or that, whatever, changing nationality and coming to play for Ghana because they're in the World Cup. You get an opportunity to put these players in at the first time of asking, and basically you leave them on the bench. What for? I don't understand. What for? Tariq Lamptey, we see what he provides for Brighton. He provides additional width, and he really plays the majority of his game in the opponent's half. We've seen the qualities of Gideon Mensah. He too can provide quality balls into the box. And in a 3-5-2 formation, when you're being pressed, those two come back as wing backs, and now you have 5 in defense, right? So I think the formation, this is where he went wrong, and the personnel he selected is where he went wrong. Put Inaki Williams up front, put Semenyo up front, give them a go. Let's test them. We've seen what Jordan Ayew does up front, haven't we seen it? We know what Afenya Jan does up front, and besides, Afenya hasn't even played for a while. He went to a new club, and what's he doing? He's on the bench. So why do you start him? You say that your criteria for selecting players was based on their clubs. Well, if it was, there was no reason to start Afenya Jan. No reason at all, because he ain't played. He hasn't been playing. Right. And, you know, and also this issue with Partey, I think we're going to have a problem. If we're going to be depending on Partey, there's going to be a big problem because he's not fit.
That's it for sports news. Let's now get details from stories making the waves on the international front.
Health authorities in Uganda have confirmed the death of 3 more Ebola patients in the country, days after declaring an outbreak of a strain of the disease in a central district. In a statement released on Friday, 23 September 2022, the Health Ministry said the total deaths attributable to the outbreak, confirmed and suspected, stood at 11. It also said the total number of confirmed cases now stood at 11 after 4 more infections were confirmed in the past 24 hours. The ministry added 19 others suspected of contracting Ebola were receiving treatment at a hospital. The WHO also says the Ebola Sudan strain is less transmissible and has shown a lower fatality rate in previous outbreaks than Ebola Zaire, a strain that killed nearly 2,300 people in the 2018-2020 epidemic in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Russia has said it is exempting some bankers, IT workers and journalists from being drafted into the army to serve in Ukraine under the partial mobilization announced by President Vladimir Putin as men fled in droves across the border to avoid conscription. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said on Wednesday that Russia would seek to call up 300,000 additional soldiers to bolster its military in Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry on Friday announced some employees working in critically important industries would be excluded from the draft in a bid to ensure the work of specific high-tech industries as well as Russia's financial system. The exemptions apply to some IT workers, telecommunications workers, finance professionals, as well as some employees at systematically important mass media outlets and interdependent suppliers, including registered media and broadcasters.
Well, that's it for international news. Let's take a look at the stories that made headlines today. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Dr. Peter Otokuno, says the decision by General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu, to stand for the chairmanship position of the party would not create division, but rather help the party win the 2024 election. Asakore Mampon District Court remands into police custody 3 students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who are standing trial for their involvement in the recent mayhem on campus. And also in news from elsewhere, health authorities in Uganda confirmed the death of 3 more Ebola patients in the country days after declaring an outbreak of a strain of the disease in a central district. So this is where we bring an end to the midday news on Metro TV with me, Harriet Adib. Do have a good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our programs.